Okay, ready, I feel like I need a drink or something. Maybe I'll take a swig real quick. Hey guys, it's a Filipino girl, and I'm going to talk to you about what it was like growing up Filipino and white, because that's what I am. So, I'm Filipino, I'm half Filipino actually, and I'm half white, and my white side is French, Danish, and English. My dad is actually white, and my mom is Filipino, and my dad met my mom in the Philippines. He was stationed there when he was in the Navy, and they started dating at a very young age. My mom was 18 and he was 20, and he went off and was stationed somewhere else, and they kept in contact through like love letters and all that stuff. And then eventually they got married, and she moved to Guam, which was actually U.S. territory during the time. And that's when they had my sister, and I was conceived there, but I was born in California. I grew up in Camarillo, California. Not a lot of you guys probably know what that is, but it's a small town in between Santa Barbara and Los Angeles. It's like a really small town close to the beach. Very suburban. Lots of, believe it or not, lots of ranches, lots of horses, lots of farmland. So it's sort of in the country and like suburban, like, I might as well have been in middle America, basically. It's a super conservative town. Well, considering I'm mixed, I'm half Filipino and white, and most of the town that I lived in was white and Mexican. I definitely felt like kind of an outcast because there was a few Asian people there, but anyone that was like my age, there are no Filipinos my age, really. There's maybe like one, and he was a guy, so I couldn't really relate to him. But it was just, yeah, it was like I was too Filipino for the white people and too white for the Mexican people. It was like I couldn't really find my footing for a while. I mean, I feel like everybody was treated differently at school, no matter what race you are. But yeah, I was, just because people didn't really know what I was. You know, they look at you and they're like, okay, like you're not white, you're not Mexican, you're not black. Like people just, you know, they're just like, are you Chinese, or like, what are you? So I would get a lot of random questions. Like people would just come up to me and ask me what I am. And I would just be like, well, I'm American. I've lived here my whole life. I'm not from anywhere else. This is where I'm from. This is who I identify myself with. Even though I am part Filipino and part white, like I didn't grow up in the Philippines, you know? So I'm my own person, as you could see. Growing up in the neighborhood that I lived in, it was all white. So, and I had one of my best friends was black. It was a black boy across the street. He was one of my best friends, and we rode bikes together and stuff. But so I wanted to be white for a while because I felt like I needed to fit in somewhere there. But then I also wanted to be black because one of my best friends was black, and I loved his family, and they all listened to the same type of music as me, and they're all really cool. They knew fashion, they knew music, knew art. I just wanted to be able to identify with one race, you know. And at one point in my life, I also just wanted to be full Filipino because I would go visit my cousins, and all of them spoke Tagalog, but I never learned that as a kid because my mom never taught me. When she came to the U.S., she wanted me to fit in here more and not be held back by that. I don't know. My mom's weird. My mom was brought up in a Catholic school, and in that school, she was not allowed to speak her own dialect or her own language. She was only allowed to speak English. So I think that kind of affected the way that she raised me and my sister. She didn't want us to grow up feeling like outcasts in the school, like where we would have accents and people would look at us differently. And I think that's why she didn't teach us the language. But at the same time, I wish she did, because I feel like so separated from the Filipino side of my being, I guess, because I don't know that. I was sad for a long time because, yeah, you want to be able to connect with people, and you want to be able to share like the same values, the same interests, the same whatever. But if you have like a language barrier, I mean, it's hard to really connect with people when you don't speak the same language. It really is. You can't fully communicate how you feel or express like what you want and like what you need. And I felt that way with a lot of my Filipino side of the family because they all felt really comfortable speaking Tagalog. That's like what they would speak around me and my sister, but we didn't know the language, so we were like left out in terms of like when they would make jokes or like the culture, the pop culture over there, like we weren't familiar with it. So I felt sad for a while, but you know, I've grown out of that, and I really like myself now, and I just feel like the way I was brought up, like I'm more unique than a lot of people. I don't want to say I'm better than anybody else, but I'm just saying that I'm unique within myself because of the things that I had to go through, like being isolated in both sides of my family, or feeling isolated. Maybe I wasn't really isolated. You know, my mom was crazy. My mom was super crazy, but like I'm thankful for how she raised me, because I would have never become who I am today. I would never be so thankful for the things that I have. I would never have such a good sense of humor, you know, because I had to go through a lot to come out like this. You know, a lot of people look at me, they're like, oh, you're so happy, you must have had the best life growing up. I'm like, no, dude, I was like a prisoner most of my life, and like depressed a lot of the time just from being so isolated. But I'm thankful for that, because look at what I'm doing now. There's a lot of people out there that can relate to me. You know, a lot of people that felt alienated growing up and had a lot of depression because of that. And that's how I felt, but not anymore. Like, I'm happy being the way I am. So I'm wild, young, and free. So yeah, I'm happy to be Filipino and white. I mean, it's not a super common mix, but you know, as with the evolution of humanity, like we're all going to be mixed at one point. We're all going to be the same race in 1,000 years maybe. We're all going to look very much the same, and I'm thankful to be a part of that evolution. Thanks for watching. I'm definitely not used to expressing how I grew up on camera or to anyone really, and I appreciate having you guys there. And that was awkward. And have a happy new year. And God bless America. And namaste.